Now we get started with the first of our pre-finals here this weekend. And up first, it's Minimax and Minimax Rookie. Let's take a look through your starting grid, which is as follows. Which is Jacob Ashcroft on overall pole position. Alongside him is the pole sitter from Mini Rookie, which is Jack Freeman. Just behind them, Finn Albert Jorgensen and Lars Lambers will line up on row 2. Rory Armstrong and it's going to be Rory Armstrong and Thomas Verheyen on row number 3. Maria Roberto and Bran van der Weyken on row 4. Vic van Kampenhout and Nico van Berkel complete the top 10. With Victor Reutz, Pauline van Breed, Georges Desmet, Tristan Shays, Jeff Verbeek, Saif Obadili, and then we've got Tristan Abils and Liam Harbros rounding out the 18-strong grid. So in terms of the strategy with regards to this one, it will be a case of the following. It's a 13-minute plus an additional lap pre-final. And this will also, the concluding results of this race will then decide our grid for the final this afternoon for day 1, which will take place approximately at 3:10 this afternoon, but we are scheduled to have a break between the DD2 and Masters pre-final. So the drivers now are steeled and ready for their first race of the weekend. It's Jacob Ashcroft on pole, Jack Freeman alongside as we get ready. Revs rise, are we ready? Are we steady? Lights are green, we are off and racing once again as they head their way through into turns 1 and 2. Nice little change for third place. Now that looks to be Rory Armstrong that's gotten through. That's across in front of. I didn't really catch the race number. However, drivers are making their way through into the infield part of the circuit. Very, very close at the front. The lap times were very, very comparable in time qualifying, but then it really does pose the question, how close is it going to be in the racing? So just over a minute completed, and the field makes its way through to complete the opening lap. Jacob Ashcroft has got a lead, and it's nearly 5.5 tenths of a second over Jack Freeman. Rory Armstrong has made his way up from 5th on the grid to now 3rd place. Thomas Verheyen in 4th, Lars Lambers in 5th. And we've also got the 165 Finn Albert Jorgensen from Denmark completing the top 6, followed by Bran van der Weyken and Lieke van Berkel. Vic van Kampenhout is not too far behind either. He's currently in 9th place, as we do have a little bit of a freight train behind the number 193 of Jack Freeman, doing a very, very solid job after qualifying 2nd, and now finds himself at the sharper end of the field as Ashcroft is scarpering away a little bit into the distance. And Ashcroft now, after a couple of laps, has managed to extend his lead to just close to 9.5 tenths of a second. So Freeman's still in 2nd position at the moment, leading the freight train. Tom's got a little bit of a noisy exhaust, I think I've just heard in the background. So they are still going to be motoring on over the next few, or just over 10 minutes plus an additional lap of this particular circuit here at Racing Kart JPR in Ostricourt. Very, very fast first part of the circuit itself, so it will really just showcase the speed these drivers are able to commit through these corners, and that has been impressive so far. But again, Ashcroft just pulling away into the distance, not having to worry about looking behind him. And Thomas Verheyen trying to battle away with Rory Armstrong. Armstrong now finds himself behind Lars Lambers. Pressure is attempted to be put on Rory Armstrong by Thomas Verheyen. The Irishman, from the youngster from Northern Ireland, County Down. Still holding station. And his level best just to keep in front. Sometimes it's good to, you can catch up to some, catching somebody is one thing, passing is something completely different. But Thomas Verheyen is not one to give up. And now he looks to the inside. Rory Armstrong will have to relinquish the place and loses a position. And that puts him down to back to where he started in 5th place. He's got the 165. That's the young Dane in the form of Finn Albert Jorgensen. He's got Bran van der Weyken in the 196 just behind. Armstrong now retakes 4th place back off of Thomas Verheyen, and there's a touch between the two. And Armstrong bumps over the curbs, stays ahead of Verheyen. And at this moment, it's 2 by 2, side by side, hurrah, just behind them. Van der Weyken has got through on Jorgensen for position, but that was very, very close indeed. Rory Armstrong got a little bit of a fright courtesy of Thomas Verheyen, and they are still battling away. That has allowed Lars Lambers and Jack Freeman to pull away into the distance. Now, again, Verheyen looking up the inside through into the next right-hander. Armstrong to the outside. He had Bram van der Weyken just behind. He got a touch from behind. There's Vic van Kampenhout in the 124. He's got ahead of Finn Albert Jorgensen from Denmark. That's the change for 7th place. Van Kampenhout looks up the inside of Van der Weyken, gets through. Jorgensen finds the door open as well. And the Dane neatly threads the eye of the needle to take the position away from the 196. There's Lieke van Berkel. She's hot on their heels as well. The 185. Very, very capable racer in her own right, as is Maria Roberto. And Maria currently rounding out the top 10. She started 7th after time qualifying. Oh, there's Jorgensen up the inside. Fires it through right past Vic van Kampenhout, who is unable to who was unable to retaliate quickly, but now he has retaliated. And there's Lieke van Berkel up the inside of Bram van der Weyken. So she's got through. That's a position gained for the young lady from the Netherlands. So we're coming up to just over 6 minutes to go. Jorgensen signaling, saying, right, let's just move forward, please. Stop attacking me. And Van Berkel has already got the bit between her teeth and fires it up the inside through into the right-hand hairpin at the top right-hand corner of the circuit. So there's a position gain for the 185. And Maria Roberto is closing in on Finn Albert Jorgensen and Bram van der Weyken just in front. So really good scrap here at the bottom part of the top 10. Roberto just 3/10 off of Van der Weyken. But in the meantime, Rory Armstrong and Thomas Verheyen still interlocked in battle. 180 versus 166. And it's the battle for fourth position. Whilst this has happened, whilst they've been battling away, Rory Armstrong, well, they are both effectively 2 seconds behind Lars Lambers in the battle for P3. It's not quite over yet. There's still just under 5 minutes remaining, plus an additional lap. But Jacob Ashcroft is away, clear and unchallenged. 3.3 seconds is his current advantage over Dan Holland Racing teammate and current mini rookie points leader Jack Freeman. And a great battle really starting to showcase itself between the likes of Finn Albert Jorgensen, Lieke van Berkel and Bran van der Weyken as they go through the infield section. Maria Roberto is just biding her time. She's got the ringside seat, waiting in the wings as we head into the final 4 minutes. Plus an additional lap, bumping over the curbs goes Van der Weyken. But the fastest lap of the race so far, 1 minute 1.109. No surprise from the current race leader of Jacob Ashcroft. But a four-way scrap over what is really becoming the true battle for the bottom end of the top 10. From 7th backwards, Finn Albert Jorgensen gets past Lieke van Berkel. The pair were separated by just over a 1/10.5 of a second. But Lars Lambers, in the meantime, has been fractionally closing in as there's the move for fourth. Rory Armstrong up the inside of Thomas Verheyen and tapping the right-hand side of his crash helmet as if to say, come on, think, let's just go. Stop fighting me. Let's work together and try and close in that gap. The time is fast dwindling away. And there's a little bit of a nose up the inside on Thomas Verheyen, courtesy of Vic van Kampenhout. Oh, massive air through the curbing by Thomas Verheyen. The back left of the 180 Kart Republic chassis was high and it had air time to boot. Jack Freeman, in the meantime, in the battle for second position, ahead of Lars Lambers. This is one of the youngest drivers on the grid who turns 9 next week. Jack Freeman is battling for a genuine top 2 position on the road. And boy, has he made it work this weekend so far. Lars Lambers is about 3/10 of a second adrift of the 193. He made his debut, if I remember correctly, in this championship with a certain team called Soda Vitesse. Hello to Mark and Bradley Barrett whilst I'm at it. But still, just over 2 minutes to go, plus an additional lap, and it is still not over yet between these two. And a little bit more curve. You can just see the kart going 2 wheels into the air on the left-hand side when Lars Lambers was literally just pile driving the Mojo T2 XX tyres into that curbing. But Jacob Ashcroft goes on to what will be lap number 12 with a 4.5 second advantage. Freeman second, Lambers in third, Rory Armstrong, Vic van Kampenhout and Thomas Verheyen round out the top 6. And those three, the latter three that I've mentioned, have just set their fastest laps of the race. Finn Albert Jorgensen now takes 7th from Lieke van Berkel, but runs deep into the right-hander just coming off of turn number 3. So Van Berkel gets back up the inside. Van der Weyken waiting in the wings. In 9th, Maria Roberto is about 5 to 6 kart lengths behind the 196 from Belgium, who's just sent it up the inside of the young Dane. Jorgensen trying to retaliate, can't get back through as we're into the final 60 seconds, plus an additional lap of the race. Jorgensen through on Van der Weyken. And oh, Van der Weyken slowed for a second, and Maria Roberto finds herself now in 9th place, Saif Al-Obadili, unfortunately, was showing briefly as might have going into the pits, but is all okay. But Maria Roberto now finds herself in 9th position. Obadili gets passed by Freeman and Lambers, as the timer on this particular lap will bring us down to 0. And Ashcroft is absolutely flying. No one is given an opportunity to breathe, as Ashcroft is doing a fantastic job. So you have to give credit where credit is due. This man was shy and a very quiet individual. His character has really started to flourish now as he's started to get a little bit older, as Jack Freeman. But you know what? He's definitely deserved this one. Final lap board will be out this time for the Mini-Max and the Mini Rookie Pre-Final as Jacob Ashcroft sees the final lap board. And Jack Freeman in second. He's got one of the GKS carts in front of him. That one's got to get out of the way very, very quickly. It's not going to be an easy one. It's Tristan Abeels. Freeman gets past, and so does Lambers, and they continue onward with their battle for second position on the road. I've just seen Pauline Van Breet and Jefferbeek just going over the start-finish line to start their final lap. They are battling away over 14th position. But Jacob Ashcroft still leading. It was Jack Freeman actually got to within four seconds of him. So effectively, it has come down to this, that Jacob Ashcroft, he has been the dominant force in this class all the way through the season, and that run looks to continue. Ashcroft across the line, wins the pre-final. Second, it's going to be a Dan Holland Racing 1-2, and it's an overall top 2. Well done, Jack Freeman, the 193, pipping Lars Lambers by just under 4.5 tenths of a second. Rory Armstrong takes 4th. Vic van Kampenhout finishes in 5th. Well done to him, ahead of Thomas Verheyen, Lieke van Berkel, Finn Albert Jorgensen, Maria Roberto and Bran van der Weken completing the top 10 in that one. Afterwards, it was Victor Reutz, Georges Desmet, Tristan Shays, Pauline Van Breet, Jefferbeek, Leon Herboz, Tristan Abeels and Saif Al-Obadili rounding out the 18-strong grid. But Ashcroft, calm, cool, calculated and unchallenged in the Mini-Max pre-final here on day 1 at Austricourt.